Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Tropical Update number 18 on Severe Tropical Storm Elsa. Elsa is currently about to make landfall in central Cuba before making its way out of Cuba and towards Florida, where it will likely make landfall sometime Wednesday morning in the Big Bend area. So this is what we have today to look at. It's a relatively sheared storm, lots of convection on the east side, and that's where it's going to probably remain for most of this storm's life. We do have some outer bands reaching the Florida Keys already this morning, but the winds on this storm still remain at 65 miles an hour with a central pressure of 1,006 millibars. So this storm is staying relatively strong in terms of winds, relatively weak in terms of pressure. Overall, very disorganized storm. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for much of central and eastern Cuba. The hurricane warning that was previously issued for portions of central Cuba has now been discontinued, as Elsa will not reach hurricane strength before making landfall there. There's also a tropical storm warning for the Florida Keys from Dry Tortugas to Craig Key, and from Flamingo in South Florida northward to the Suwannee River, basically taking up the entire western coast of Florida. Tropical storm watches from the Florida Keys, Craig Key to Ocean Reef, as well as the Florida Bay, and then from the Suwannee River in Florida across the panhandle to Indian Pass. So that's about the edge of the panhandle is where that Suwannee River is located. So let's get a look at the current radar presentation of Elsa. It's nothing to write home about, but, again, what we can mainly see is that the convection is clearly on the east side of the storm, thus the rainfall and all of that fun stuff, the wind, the rain, all of that on the east side of the storm, and that's where it's going to remain, like I said, as it continues to impact the Florida Peninsula. Our latest hurricane hunter just went into the storm, and it's leaving as we speak. Again, it can cross Cuba because it's a NOAA hunter, not a Air Force hunter, and that Air Force hunter will be in later today after Elsa exits Cuba. Again, we can't fly over land because the wind values get messed up when the hurricane hunters do that. So that's kind of what the storm's looking like right now. We do see a due west movement for about half a degree or so in longitude. So that's something that is notable, as the storm has generally been moving west-northwest, and that fix basically hasn't moving due west, even a little bit south, as the case may be. Earliest time of arrival for tropical storm force winds appear to be Tuesday early morning for parts of the Keys, Tuesday later in the morning for probably where I'm at in South Florida, much of Florida by the end of the day Tuesday, and then of course it continues up through the southeastern United States as we head into later in the week. Our latest watches and warnings we can see again over here on the right side of the screen. Like I said, basically the entire western coast of Florida is under a tropical storm warning at the moment, as well as central and eastern Cuba. It's also worth noting that the Florida Keys are currently under a special marine warning due to those incoming the incoming rain bands, with Elsa producing very strong winds, in fact excess of 50 miles an hour or so, which, if you're on a boat, that's pretty significant. And we take a look here at rainfall. Like I said, rainfall is going to be a big deal with Elsa. Marginal and slight risks up for much of the United States southeast. Not quite as much as we're going to get in Cuba, where 10 to 15 or 5 to 10 isolated to 15 inches are going to fall. But we are looking at 2 to 4 inches, isolated areas to 6 in Florida and coastal Georgia. Wouldn't be surprised to see an 8-inch reading in areas such as Fort Myers or Tampa. I'm probably going to get 4 to 6 where I'm at in Southwest Florida. So that is certainly something to keep an eye on. We're also looking at 1 to 3 inches, isolated 5 in coastal South and North Carolina. Another impact with tropical cyclones is tornadoes. That upper image is the tornado risk over this evening and afternoon. We see southwest Florida and the Florida Keys, really southern Florida, but southwest Florida especially, and the Florida Keys overnight tonight, 2% chance of tornadoes. The risk also extends northward about to probably include all of South Florida for a 5% chance of severe wind due to some microbursts that may occur with those outer bands of Elsa moving on to land. So just something to keep an eye on overnight tonight, even into tomorrow. That lower image there showing 2% tornado risk for basically all of the western half of Florida. And so there's another marginal risk for tornadoes there that we're going to have to be looking at. Expect those to continue. We'll probably have another one be issued on Wednesday as well due to that. I didn't update this storm surge graphic, so I'll be right back. There's the updated graphic here. Again, I updated the text, but not the graphic. We do see 2 to 4 feet of storm surge for much of western Florida, 1 to 3 feet in the more southern areas in southwest and Florida and the Florida Keys, as well as other parts of the Florida Panhandle. That 2 to 4 foot area is under a storm surge watch as a result of course, the storm surge threat that will be occurring there. We're also looking at 2 to 4 feet for the south coast of Cuba. The latest models are coming into much better agreement now that we kind of know what's going on with Elsa. We see the Big Bend very highlighted area and then moving over or along the coastline of the United States before heading out to sea. We see the official forecast takes Elsa, now it takes Elsa down to a tropical depression, but it previously didn't. But it's not going to weaken a whole lot after Cuba. It's going to weaken a little bit over Cuba, and then it's going to remain about steady in strength for those 2 days or so before it makes landfall in Florida. And the reason for that is because although the environment is favorable for tropical storms, it's tropical storms strengthening into hurricanes. There will be some shear over the Gulf of Mexico, which will likely not allow it to strengthen much more than where Elsa is at right now. So it might re-strengthen a little bit after leaving Cuba, but nothing too crazy is expected at this point. And then again, it moves over the Carolinas. Much the same on our 2 ensemble models. Finally, everybody's speaking the same language here. The Florida Big Bend area appears to be somewhere that we're going to get it. It could be as far south as Tampa. It could be further along the Panhandle. But as of now, somewhere in that general area of Florida is what we're looking at. We can see that again on the European ensemble, where much of the models have the same thing. You will see on these on this European model, there is some strengthening of Elsa going on. A 30 or 40 knot storm increasing to a 50 or so knot storm. But again, as it stands right now, Elsa is considered a 55 knot storm. You see the initialization on the European model here has Elsa as a 35 or so knot storm. So again, not much change is going to occur in Elsa's strength. Let's take a look at the GFS model. Again, south of Cuba, moving north into Florida, perhaps weakening fairly significantly, and we see it regain the L as it exits North Carolina, perhaps becoming a tropical storm once again if it weakens the depression over land, which seems fairly likely depending on how far inland Elsa actually goes and how long it stays there. So that's just something we're going to want to keep an eye on. Again, big rainmaker. The reason I chose this version of the GFS, not this run, but this depiction of it, is because we can see the precipitation very heavy on the east side of the storm, which will, of course, result in lots of rain for the areas to the east of the storm center, as well as wind, storm surge. All of those threats going to be located primarily to the east of the center of Elsa. That's all we have for now. There's another look at our cone in the current watches and warnings, as well as the current wind field of Elsa. as it stands right now. We'll have another update out later tonight, and then several more as we continue to watch Elsa make its way into the United States after, of course, it hits Cuba. But, of course, us here in the United States, our main concern is the United States. That's for now. Chris Dixon for Other Catholic Media.